Hey guys, Jody here, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Jody, and on my channel I talk about Broadway and books. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Broadway, where I continue my Broadway show series, where I talk about every Broadway show I've ever seen over the 20 years I was seeing Broadway shows on a regular basis. So today I'll be talking about my 6th Broadway show, which was a stage adaptation of the iconic film Saturday Night Fever. So if you've been following the series on my channel up to this point, you may remember how I have talked about this show on my channel already in this series. And that's because I ended up seeing Saturday Night Fever on Broadway a total of 3 times on Broadway. So in today's video, I'll be talking about my second time seeing the show, which in turn was my 6th Broadway show. Now, normally in this series, I go over who was in the cast, who was on the creative team, any favorite songs or moments I had from the show, and anything interesting I find in the playbill. Now, today's video is going to be a little different, as I'm not going to be talking about any favorite songs or moments I had from the show, because like I said, I have talked about this show on my channel already, and I would just be repeating myself. So I will be replacing that with more of talking about like my day in the city, because it was a really special day in the city, and it was a very special performance of this show in particular on the date that I saw it. So yeah. What I will say though, which I probably did say in my last video where I talked about the show, because I will always point this out. Saturday Night Fever is one of my favorite shows that I've ever seen on Broadway. Definitely one of my favorite shows of all time on the Broadway stage. And it was that show that, basically I was very much into the performing arts and theater before I ever started seeing Broadway shows, before I ever saw this on Broadway. But the Saturday Night Fever, the musical that I saw on Broadway, it was that show where I went from really liking the performing arts and Broadway to just being a super fan of Broadway and the performing arts, and really appreciating the art form much more than I had before. So this show will always hold a special place in my heart, because it's a show that just got me super into Broadway. So yeah. So before I get into my day in the city and who was in the cast and who was in the playbill and all that stuff, basically before I get into today's video, I will say I have seen a lot of Broadway shows, like you can probably gather by now. And usually at these shows, not all the shows I saw, but a lot of the shows I have seen, I would get a t-shirt, when I saw the show. Now, I did get a t-shirt, I did get a shirt from when I saw Saturday Night Fever on Broadway. I cannot find that shirt for whatever reason. I definitely still have it, because I would never get rid of it. It's why I would never do that. But I can't find it at the moment. So instead, I did end up seeing the national tour of the show twice. I saw the first national tour and the second national tour of the show. And today, in this video, I am wearing my t-shirt from when I saw the show on tour, the first national tour of the show. And I don't feel like standing up, but see, Saturday Night Fever. Gotta represent the show while I talk about it. So I'm wearing my Saturday Night Fever t-shirt from when I saw it on tour. So I just don't feel like standing up and to show the whole shirt, but you saw most of it. So yeah, I will be starting off with talking about my day in the city. So I saw this show for the second time, which was my 6th Broadway show, in July of 2000. July 2nd of 2000, I believe. July 2nd, 2000, I believe is the exact date. And so basically I saw this particular performance because the first time I had seen the show, a lot of performers were out of the show on the day that I saw it. And one of the performers that was out of the show on that date was James Carbonell, who at the time played Tony Manero. So I was really hoping to see his performance of the show. So when I found out, I found out probably from Broadway.com at the time. That's probably how I found out. But I found out when his last performance date was going to be, and it was July 2nd, I think, of 2000. So, so my whole family went to see the show with me, and we went out to eat first, and then I believe we picked up the tickets at the box office, and then afterwards we had some time to walk around before the performance, because we had a few hours to spend to do whatever we wanted before the show. So we went to Rockefeller Center. I believe it was my first time at Rockefeller Center, which was a nice memory to have. And I don't know if they do this anymore, but for a few, I feel like there were more than a few summers where I went to Rockefeller Center and they would have like art exhibits outside, like sculptures and things like that. And on this, in July of 2000, they had some kind of like floral like sculpture exhibit outside, and it was really cool. They had like flowers in the shapes of like big, huge sculptures made from flowers in the shape of things. And I remember there was one of like a dog, and it was really cool. But and so moving on. So afterwards, we went to see the show, and this is where I will start to show my playbill. And usually I do this towards the beginning of the video, but sometimes I forget. I haven't done one of these in a while. So here is a picture, I guess a picture, the credits for the like who was in the cast and creative team and whatnot. And then here is a page with the leads and supporting characters. And then here is a page with like swings, understudies, ensemble, chorus. And so, yeah. So, yeah, like I said, it was well, I'm not going to go over the show, like I said, but it was a really special performance because, like, it was James Carpinell's last performance. I don't know if it was anybody else's last performance date on that particular performance as well, but at the end of the show, they gave him, like, flowers at the curtain call, and it was really, I don't remember if there was a speech or anything, but it was a really fun performance. I, love the show like I did the first time. I will say though, I forgot to mention this in my first video where I talked about Saturday Night Fever. I went on a bus trip for that performance, so more than usually on those kind of trips you can't choose where you sit. You like what you get is what you get, and I sat in the last row of the mezzanine, so it was the very last row of the theater, so I didn't have great seats, but I still loved the show. That's how good it was. But the second time I saw the show, which is the time I'm talking about now, I sat in the orchestra, and I had much better seats, and it was, I love sitting in the orchestra. It's like a luxury, because you really get a better view of the stage and the performances, and yeah. And then after the show, it was like, so my whole family and me went to see the show, and we didn't go on a bus trip. We went by ourselves. So it was the first time I was actually able to do the stage door. I met all the cast. Everybody was so nice. And like I said, it was James Carpinell's last performance in the show. And I remember he got in the car and rode off, and everybody was waving goodbye to him because everybody at the show knew it was his last performance. And it was just a really, really special day. And then actually across the street from the Minskoff Theater, which is where this show played, is the Marriott Theater, and the Marriott Theater is like inside the Marriott hotel, and yeah, but the stage door for that theater is like really right across from the Minskoff, and at the time there was a revival of Annie Get Your Gun playing there. Bernadette Peters starred in it, and Tom Wopat, and I remember I think these shows are around the same time, like lengthwise, so everybody was waiting at the stage door for those shows around the same time. And I remember, I think it was Tom Wopat, I guess when he was done signing autographs or whatever, he got on a motorcycle and rode off away. So it was like another fun memory of that particular day. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was Tom Wopat, but I mean, I guess if Tom Wopat does not ride motorcycles, or didn't at the time, then that probably wasn't him. But either way, it was a fun memory. But yeah. Yeah, it was a really special day, and it was just my first time being able to do the stage door. It was the first time my whole family went to see a show all together, and it was just this is one of my favorite memories of seeing shows. It was Saturday Night Fever. I just love this show, and yeah, and I got, like I said, I met a lot of the cast members at this performance because I was able to do the stage door, and I can't read everyone's signature, but I can definitely tell that's Orphe's signature right here, and I think Paige Price is right here, and I don't know. I think that might be James's signature. I met a few people at that performance, also nice, and actually this performance that I saw, like I said, it was July 2nd, 2000. it was actually the last performance date for the Footloose musical, and I got to see that. That was my first show. But when I was looking in the playbill and looking at like the biographies and stuff, I didn't realize how many people from Saturday Night Fever were actually in the Footloose musical before they came to Saturday Night Fever, because Footloose and Saturday Night Fever obviously were on Broadway at the same time. But like Orphe was in Footloose on Broadway, so was Paul Castry. Richard H. Blake was on the national tour of Footloose, and yeah, so I saw this show on the day Footloose closed for the second time. But now for anything interesting I may find in the playbill. So I was gonna like not look at the playbill ahead of time to make it more spontaneous, this video, but I'm not good at spontaneity. So I just thought I would check ahead and see if I thought anything was interesting to me. Oh, yeah. So also, I mean, for those of you who like knowing like who was in what show before they went on to do like other projects, like so many people from the show went on to do other shows and stuff. Like Orphe went to do Legally Blonde, Pretty Woman. Richard H. Blake has been in some of my favorite shows of all time. Wedding Singer is my favorite show of all time. He was in Wedding Singer, Legally Blonde, obviously Saturday Night Fever, Bronx Tale, and I'm drawing a blank. So many of these performers went on to do many, many shows, and I don't have a video. I don't want to make this video too long. But yeah, they're all amazing performers. And that's what I was saying. If you Andy Blankenmuller, right there. I don't know if this is focusing. Let's see. Well, he is now the camera's not focusing. Let's give this a second. But he went on to do focus. Maybe if I do this again, it'll focus. This happened earlier when... Okay, there we go. Yeah, so Andy Blankenmiller was in this show. And I think he did Fosse before that. I was looking at this. And, yeah, he was most recently in Fosse before he went to Saturday Night Fever, the musical on Broadway. But he is also the choreographer for Hamilton. So I'm sure you guys have heard of his name from that. And he did Saturday Night Fever. He also choreographed... In the Heights. He directed and choreographed Bandstand, which was like I think in 2017, but he's won a few Tonys and he's very, very well known now. And yeah, I just thought I'd point that out that he was in this show before he went on to do shows like Hamilton and In the Heights and Bandstand. But yeah, and okay, so I was gonna find something interesting to play about. And so Aida actually was on Broadway at this point, I believe. Where's that page? They had a whole article in here about that show, and I actually got to see Aida, but I saw a few years after it had begun, so I think at that point the only cast member that was from the original cast as far as the leads went was Adam Pascal, but he wasn't even there the day I went. But anyway, that's really the only thing I thought I found in the playbill that, I thought I'd point out. And then I was going to give a little clue to what my next Broadway show was, but my next Broadway show, I believe, is Jekyll and Hyde, and I had assumed that it had started at this point on Broadway, but it must not have, because there's the little thing in the back where it has all the, have you seen this show? It's not listed, so I have to imagine it hadn't started yet. Oh well. So so Jekyll and Hyde will be my next Broadway show that I talk about, and so today's video was about my 6th Broadway show, which was Saturday Night Fever, one of my favorite shows of all time. And okay, so I was wondering, how do I go about my channel now? Because like I said, my channel is going to be about Broadway and books from now on. When I talk about Broadway, it's going to be about the shows I've seen. When it talks about books, it's going to be a little bit more of a variety as far as those videos are concerned. Like what I've read, what I want to read, book recommendations, things like that. So I decided I was going to do the format of my channel like this, where I talk about a show that I have seen, followed by a book video. So my next video, I hope to make finally get around to doing my reading wrap up for September. I did write my review on my blog, but I never got around to making my review for my channel. So hopefully I get around to talking about what I read in September for my next video, and then after that video, it'll be back to talking about like my next Broadway show, which was Jekyll and Hyde. At least I think it was Jekyll and Hyde. I'll have to check on that, but I'm pretty sure it's Jekyll and Hyde. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. Did you ever see Saturday Night Fever on Broadway? If so, how did you like it? Or what was that, show for you that got you super into theater and the performing arts and Broadway and stuff? And like, what was that show for you? Saturday Night Fever was that show for me. So, yeah. This video, I tried to make it a little more put together. I don't know if it was, but I tried. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so very much for watching, and until next time, bye.